The bidding on the set of 4 Dream Lover necklaces had gotten as high as $51 million. Isaac was relieved when Phoebe said that was too much money, but Kevin was willing to keep bidding, so he sent a text to Miss Wilson. Just as the auctioneer was about to let the necklaces go for $51 million, Miss Wilson suddenly held up her paddle and very calmly said, $58 million. There was a huge gasp in the room when she said this. What the heck? Spending $58 million just to buy 4 necklaces? Williams Media sure knows how to waste money, Isaac Holden murmured to himself in amazement. Actually, $58 million wasn't a huge amount of money for the company. However, everyone knew that Miss Wilson was backed by Williams Media, and their CEO had a close relationship with Mitchell Cook, Adriana Wright, and several other powerful Chicagoans, so he didn't really care. The auctioneer smacked the gavel and shouted excitedly, "Congratulations, Miss Wilson, for successfully bidding on the Dream Lover lot at $58 million. Listening to the thunderous applause of the audience, Phoebe's heart sank. She felt that she might never have another chance to bid on a Dream Lover necklace for the rest of her life. After all, there were a limited number of them in the world. While she was still thinking about the necklace, a few staff members placed a large box on the auction table. "May I have your attention, please? We have a special item this evening," the auctioneer said enthusiastically. "I believe that everyone here is interested in the benefits of herbal medication. Some of you have already made great strides in having a healthy mind and a healthy body." Everyone got excited to hear this. Even the usually calm Dalton Steele seemed especially excited to hear about this. He had been exercising, practicing martial arts, and watching his diet for the past few years. It had all helped his focus and stamina so he could succeed in business. But he still couldn't get to the next level. Bidding on herbal medication? Kevin looked doubtingly at the box on the table next to the auctioneer. Are there still people working on developing new medications? Kevin thought to himself. Everyone, please calm down and listen to me. The formula for the pills in this box was developed 80 years ago. It was found in an airtight vault at a research lab in... Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to disclose the location, and it has been examined by a team of specialists. Who would like to be the first to experience this unique herbal medication? The bidding starts at $5 million. The auctioneer roared, instantly grabbing everyone's attention. $10 million, a man said as he stood up and raised his paddle high in the air. But as soon as he finished speaking, a woman on the other side of the room didn't want to be outdone and held up her own paddle to bid. $15 million. Suddenly, everyone was bidding for a lot of herbal medication. In just a couple of minutes, the bidding had already reached $20 million, and it didn't show any signs of slowing down. So, you can actually sell herbal medication like this. Kevin was speechless. He had already sold his homemade pills to Archer and Quinn for $500,000 each, but this was ridiculous. Kevin had always thought that he'd made a fortune in business, but this was where the real money was. Dalton was about to stand up and raise his paddle to bid when Kevin pulled him back down to his chair. "Kevin, why did you stop me?" Dalton asked excitedly. He really wanted to try this herbal medication to see if he could finally make some more progress. "Dalton, this isn't a good idea," Kevin said seriously. "What are you talking about? I really want to try it," Dalton said impatiently. "Listen to me. This herbal med is probably the real thing, but even though it was kept in a hermetically sealed vault, it no longer has any medicinal value. You'd be throwing away your money," Kevin said as he stared at the box on the table up front. When Kevin said this, Dalton immediately settled down like he'd been splashed in the face with cold water. "Kevin, are you serious?" Dalton asked. He still wasn't sure Kevin was right. "Have you forgotten how I saved your wife?" Kevin said firmly. Just then, Isaac, who was sitting next to Phoebe, suddenly laughed. "You really are a joke. Just because you can't afford to bid, do you want to keep someone else from getting it?" "Who did I stop?" Kevin scowled. "Weren't you trying to stop your friend from bidding?" Isaac sneered and said. "You were just scoffing at me for not being able to afford the Dream Lover necklaces, Now you're knocking this item. Do you know anything at all about herbal remedies?" Isaac's loud voice attracted the attention of a lot of people in the row. "Whether you know if it would work or not doesn't matter. You couldn't afford it anyway," Kevin retorted. This upset Isaac, but he continued to attack Kevin. "Maybe I can't afford to bet on it, but I'll bet you can't either. What do you have on you, $100? The people around them burst into laughter when they heard this. Some of the onlookers recognized him as the guy who had married into the Jones family, and they started insulting him too. While this was going on, a man quickly walked up to Kevin, accompanied by a few staff members. "I'm sorry, sir, but if the two of you have some personal grudge against each other, I must ask you to take it outside," he said with a slight smile on his face. "Mr. Pearl, this is all a misunderstanding. I didn't mean to disturb your auction, but this man wants to start a riot," Isaac told him. Isaac Holden knew exactly who the man was. It was Zane Pearl from the family that owned the auction house. He wasn't as tough as Dalton Steele, but he still had a nasty reputation in Chicago. Zane was also in charge of his family's businesses and didn't get around much, so Kevin hadn't met him yet. Suddenly Isaac pointed at Kevin and shouted, "Mr. Pearl, this piece of trash wants to start a riot and turn this place upside down. He just said that the herbal medication that's up for bids won't have any effect. He even told the people sitting near him not to bid." Phoebe immediately stood up from her seat and said, "I'm sorry, Mr. Pearl. Please don't take him seriously. Kevin was just joking with us. How could there be a problem with something that the Pearl family has put up for auction?" "Phoebe, how can you defend this trash?" Isaac said as he turned around and looked at Kevin. Then he said to Kevin, "Why don't you man up and admit what you just said?" "Isaac, you've gone too far this time. Kevin was just joking with us," Phoebe pleaded. Zane wasn't happy with this scene. This was a very important auction, and his family had even asked him to be in charge of security. Although he had never seen Kevin before, he knew Phoebe and her family, so he had to be polite to her. "Well, since this gentleman was just joking, I'll just ask Miss Anderson to keep the discussion civil so that we don't disturb the bidders. We don't want to influence the auction," Zane said quietly. "I'm really sorry, Mr. Pearl. Sorry about the disturbance," Phoebe replied quickly. Just as Zane was about to walk away with his people, Kevin suddenly stood up and said, "I wasn't joking with Dalton. This lot of herbal medicine is too old. Even though it was sealed for the past 80 years, it could be poisonous if someone took it." That really got everyone's attention. Isaac smiled cruelly and said, "Mr. Pearl, did you hear what he just said?" "Kevin, what are you talking about?" Phoebe said anxiously as she put her hand on his shoulder. Zane brought his guards over to Kevin and asked him, "Did you really come here to cause a riot?" "I'm telling the truth. The herbal medication in that box is useless," Kevin replied calmly. "All right, I'm going to have to ask you to leave," Zane said with a sneer. "Zane Pearl, you really are amazing," Dalton said as he stood up from his chair. "Let me tell you something. Kevin is my friend. If you want him to leave, you'll have to ask me too. Do you really want to do that?" "Dalton Steele," Zane said as a look of recognition flashed in his eyes. He really couldn't afford to say the wrong thing to someone from the Steele family. "I'm sorry. This is all a misunderstanding," Zane said as he smiled and tried to calm Dalton down. "I didn't know he was your friend. If you'll excuse me, I have to make a phone call." Then he rushed off, leaving everyone to turn their attention back to the auction.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.